My name is Diego, and I was there when Thomas's story changed forever. It was a chilly November morning in 2021, the kind that sends a shiver through your bones, as she stood outside the cafe where she used to meet her ex-husband every Sunday. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the crisp scent of fallen leaves. Her heart raced, caught between the memories of their laughter and the bitter taste of betrayal. As she smiled at the barista, a melodic sound of wind chimes danced in the background, carrying with it a flicker of hope. But even as she smiled, she trembled, the weight of the past clinging to her like a shadow. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was the moment she had been dreading. When his wife called, it felt as if the ground beneath her shifted, a reminder that some truths are too heavy to bear alone. How can blood turn to poison like this? What nobody knew was that today would unravel the truth about her ex-husband that would change everything. The morning light filtered through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow over the table set for two. Thomas could hear the distant hum of traffic outside, a familiar backdrop to his routine life. He took a moment to inhale the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee, savoring its warmth as he poured himself a cup. The steam curled up into the air, wrapping around him like a comforting embrace. Today felt like any other day, and he welcomed the normalcy that came with it. "Thomas, can you grab the sugar?" Jessica called from the living room, her voice sweet but distant. He could hear her moving around, probably checking her phone or arranging her things. The moment felt ordinary, yet there was an undercurrent of something he couldn't quite identify. He poured a spoonful of sugar into his coffee, stirring it absent-mindedly while glancing at her. "Sure thing," he replied, trying to shake off the vague feeling of unease. He walked over and handed her the small bowl. Jessica flashed a quick smile, charming as always, but there was a flicker in her eyes that made him pause. That morning, they had plans to meet up with family for the annual fall festival, a cherished tradition that filled their lives with laughter and warmth. Thomas always looked forward to these gatherings. They were a chance for him to see Jessica in her element, cooking and laughing with their relatives. Today, he hoped, would be no different. Later, as they drove to the festival, the vibrant colors of autumn leaves painted the landscape. The sweet smell of apple pie wafted through the air from the nearby bakeries, mingling with the crispness of the season. Thomas smiled, recalling how Jessica would always try to outdo her mother's famous pie recipe. He thought of the compliments she received from family, their pride evident as they savored her dishes. "Remember last year? Your mom couldn't get enough of your pie," Thomas said, laughter lacing his words. "Oh my God, I can't believe how competitive she gets," Jessica chuckled, shaking her head. "But I think I might just have a secret ingredient this time." As they parked the car and walked toward the gathering, Thomas felt a sense of hope swell within him. He was excited to see everyone, to share in the joy of food and family. But as they stepped into the lively atmosphere, a strange tension crept into his heart. The sounds of laughter and music surrounded them, yet he felt a growing distance from Jessica. Throughout the afternoon, he watched her engage with their family, her laughter ringing out like a melody. But every time he reached for her hand or tried to pull her into a conversation, she seemed to slip away, her focus shifting elsewhere. It stung, but Thomas brushed it off. Maybe she was just preoccupied with the event, he thought, or perhaps she was just tired. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the festivities, Thomas caught sight of Ryan, his younger brother, lurking at the edge of the crowd. There was something in Ryan's eyes that Thomas couldn't quite place, a mix of jealousy and something else, something darker. They exchanged a brief nod, but Thomas quickly turned his attention back to Jessica, who was now engaged in a deep conversation with a cousin. The festival began to wind down, and the family gathered for a final toast. Thomas raised his glass, beaming with pride for Jessica and all her hard work. "To family and the wonderful memories we create together," he declared, feeling the warmth of their shared history. Jessica smiled, but it felt fleeting, as if her mind was elsewhere. The moment passed, and as they began to disperse, Thomas felt a sudden chill run through him. It was an odd sensation, like an omen he couldn't shake off. Later that night, they settled on the porch. The sounds of the festival fading into the background. The cool evening air wrapped around them, and Thomas took a sip of his coffee, hoping to draw comfort from the familiar ritual. But the warmth he sought was elusive. "Thomas," Jessica said suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper, "can we talk?" His heart sank. "About what?" he asked, anxiety creeping into his chest. "You know how we've been drifting?" She hesitated, searching for the right words. "I just don't feel the same anymore. I'm not sure I want to keep pretending." "Pretending? What do you mean?" Thomas replied, confusion mixing with fear. "That night at the festival, when you called me Maria?" She trailed off, her eyes downcast. "Wait, I never called you that," he exclaimed, disbelief flooding his voice. "I would never." "I know," Jessica interrupted, her voice trembling, "but it was a slip that revealed something deeper. My heart sank when you said it. It made me realize how far apart we've grown." Everything shifted. The evening air felt heavy, thick with unspoken truths and realizations that Thomas had ignored for far too long. He wanted to protest, to cling to the remnants of their love, but the weight of Jessica's words hung in the air like a bitter truth he had been avoiding. In the quiet of the porch, surrounded by the echoes of their laughter and the fading sense of the festival, Thomas faced a reality he had long chosen to ignore. The warmth of the apple pie and the sweetness of hope felt like distant memories now, lost in a fragile moment that could change everything. Thomas gazed out the window. "What a beautiful day," she whispered. Jessica noticed her distant look. "You seem lost in thought." The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue across the kitchen. Birds chirped outside, their sweet melodies weaving through the air as Thomas stood by the stove, stirring a pot of simmering spaghetti sauce. The aroma of garlic and tomatoes filled the room, promising a cozy dinner for two. He glanced at the clock, noting that Jessica was running late again. His heart swelled with hope. She had promised they would spend the evening together, a rare moment in their busy lives. As he set the table, his phone buzzed on the counter, startling him. He wiped his hands on a dish towel and picked it up, seeing a message from Maria, a colleague he had met at work. "Hey Thomas, I'll be late from book club, running behind. Talk later?" He frowned, puzzled. "Oh my God," he muttered. Jessica had never expressed an interest in joining a book club, so why was she there? His mind raced with questions, but he brushed them aside, focusing instead on the meal. Just as he was about to pour the sauce over the pasta, he noticed something glinting on the bathroom shelf. Curiosity tugged at him, and he walked down the hallway, his heart skipping a beat with each step. When he pushed open the bathroom door, he felt a chill run down his spine. There, nestled between Jessica's skincare products, was a bottle of cologne he had never seen before. The dark glass shimmered under the fluorescent light, and he felt a wave of unease wash over him. What was this doing in their home? His mind raced back to the past few months, how Jessica had become increasingly distant, her laughter less frequent, her smiles strained. "Thomas?" Jessica's voice floated down the hallway as she entered the house, breaking his reverie. He turned to face her, trying to mask the turmoil brewing inside him. "Hey Jess, you're home early," he said, forcing a smile. She slipped off her coat, her expression unreadable. "Yeah, I decided to skip the last part of the meeting, just wasn't feeling it." He studied her, searching for any hint of the woman he had married. "Did you have fun?" She shrugged, a flicker of something, regret, crossing her face. "It was fine, just the usual." "Just the usual," he echoed, the words tasting bitter on his tongue. As they settled at the table, he couldn't shake the nagging feeling in his gut. He had to know. "What's this?" he asked, holding up the cologne bottle. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, he thought he saw a flash of panic. "Oh, that's just something I picked up." "Just something?" His voice rose, surprise mingling with frustration. "It's not like I've seen it before, Jess." She sighed, running a hand through her hair, a gesture he recognized as a sign of irritation. "It's nothing, Thomas. Just drop it, okay?" His heart sank. "You can't expect me to just drop it. I feel like I don't know you anymore." Jessica looked away, and he caught a glimpse of vulnerability before she masked it again. "You're overreacting. It's just cologne." "Maybe it's not just cologne," he countered, his pulse quickening. "Maybe it's a sign of something more." In that moment, he realized how far they had drifted apart. Cultural reflection. In the kitchen, it hurt like hope. He had brushed off her emotional distance for so long, convincing himself that everything was fine. But now, standing in the kitchen with the remnants of their shared life surrounding them, he couldn't ignore the truth any longer. "I can't believe this," he said, his voice trembling. Jessica stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. "I need some air." As she stepped outside, Thomas felt the weight of their reality crashing down around him. The comforting smells of the kitchen faded, replaced by a chilling silence. He sank into his chair, staring at the empty plate across from him. The hope he had clung to for years felt like a distant memory, slipping through his fingers like sand. He reached for his phone, needing to talk to someone who would understand. Emily had always been there, ready to offer support. He dialed her number, his hands trembling with uncertainty. "Hey, it's me," he said when she picked up. "Thomas, what's wrong?" "I just found something in the bathroom, something that doesn't belong to me." "Wait, what? What do you mean?" "I think Jessica is hiding something from me." Emily paused, her tone turning serious. "Have you talked to her about it?" "I tried, but she just brushed it off. I don't know what to do." "You need to face this head-on. You deserve the truth." As he hung up, he felt a spark of determination ignite within him. He couldn't keep ignoring the signs. Reflection. That moment in the kitchen changed everything. It was time to confront the reality of his marriage, no matter how painful it might be. Thomas took a deep breath. "We need to have a serious conversation." Jessica tensed up. About what exactly? As Thomas sat on the porch, the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the yard. The smell of morning coffee still lingered in the air, a comforting reminder of the routine he had once cherished. But today, that routine felt frayed at the edges, like an old quilt that had seen too many winters. His heart sank as he replayed Jessica's words in his mind, the slip that had sent his world spiraling. "Why would she call me Ryan?" he muttered under his breath, staring into his coffee cup as if it held the answers. Just a few days ago, he had overheard her on the phone, her laughter ringing out like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. He remembered how his heart had raced with unease, a feeling he had buried under layers of denial. But the truth was inching closer, and he could no longer ignore the signs. The way Jessica had dismissed his question about the cologne still nagged at him. "It's just a gift from a friend, Thomas," she had said, her tone almost defensive. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it, that her body language had shifted, creating a chasm between them. It was a shift he had noticed before, one that deepened each time she whispered sweet nothings into the air, yet failed to direct them at him. "Are you sure it's just a friend?" Thomas had pressed, trying to mask the tightening in his chest. "I mean, it seems a bit intimate for a friend, don't you think?" "Oh my God, you're being ridiculous," Jessica had snapped, the irritation in her voice cutting through him like a knife. He had wanted to scream back, to lay bare the fear gnawing at his insides, but instead, he had chosen silence, retreating into the shadows of his own thoughts. That silence had become his refuge, but now, as he watched the last rays of sun slip away, he felt that refuge becoming a prison. He had started to notice her habits shifting. She had begun to guard her phone like a treasure, often leaving the room to take calls that she insisted were work-related. Each time she stepped away, a gnawing doubt crept in, mingling with the scent of apple pie baking in the oven, sweet
but ultimately deceptive. "Emily, I don't know what to do," he confessed to his best friend during one of their late-night chats.
The wind rustled the leaves, a soft murmur against the tension in his voice. "Thomas, you have to confront her about this," Emily urged, her voice steady but filled with concern. "You can't keep living like this, pretending everything is okay when it's clearly not." "But what if I'm wrong?" he countered, panic rising within him like a wave. "What if I just end up pushing her away?" "Do you really want to live in this limbo? My heart sank just thinking about it," she replied, her frustration palpable. "You need to face the truth, no matter how painful it might be." That night, as Thomas lay awake, the wind chimes outside tinkled softly, almost as if they were whispering secrets he was too afraid to uncover. He could feel the weight of their shared history pressing down on him, and in that moment, he knew he had to confront Jessica. It was time to break the silence. The next evening, he found her in the living room, scrolling through her phone with an intensity that felt foreign. The shadows of the setting sun danced across her face, highlighting the lines of tension that had become all too familiar. He took a deep breath, the comforting smell of apple pie wafting from the kitchen doing little to ease his nerves. "Jessica, we need to talk," he said, his voice steady but laced with uncertainty. She looked up, her eyes flickering with surprise. "What about?" "About the cologne, about the calls, about everything. It feels like there's a wall between us, and I can't ignore it anymore," Thomas said, his heart racing as he prepared to unearth the truth. She shifted in her seat, her posture becoming defensive. "I told you it's nothing, Thomas. Just drop it." "No, I can't just drop it. My heart sank when you called me Ryan," he insisted, his voice rising slightly. "It's not just a slip of the tongue. It means something." Jessica's expression hardened, and for a moment he thought he saw a flicker of something. Fear? Guilt? "You're reading too much into this. I'm not the one with a problem here." But Thomas pressed on, feeling a surge of strength coursing through him. "I've watched you pull away for years, Jessica. You're not emotionally present, and I can't pretend that everything is okay any longer. I deserve more than this." In that moment, the air thickened with unspoken words and feelings that had been buried for too long. The gentle tinkling of the wind chimes faded into the background as he awaited her response, hoping for a sliver of honesty amidst the growing tension. Suddenly, her phone buzzed on the table, a message lighting up the screen. The name flashed before his eyes, Ryan. "Jessica," he whispered, the revelation hitting him like a cold wave. The truth he had been avoiding crashed down on him, and in that instant, he understood. This was far more than a mere emotional distance. This was betrayal. "Thomas, wait!" she exclaimed, but the words felt hollow against the weight of what had just been revealed. As he stood there, the porch beneath him felt less like a safe haven and more like a precipice, where every choice he made could either lead to freedom or further entrapment. The clarity he had longed for was finally upon him, but the cost was higher than he had ever imagined. The rain tapped softly against the window, the scent of damp pavement wafting through the air, mingling with the smell of pancakes sizzling on the griddle. Thomas stood in the kitchen, flipping the golden rounds with practiced ease, but his mind was elsewhere. Today was supposed to be a quiet Saturday morning, a time to reconnect with Jessica over breakfast. Yet a gnawing tension in his gut hinted that things were far from normal. He glanced at the clock. It was nearly 10. Jessica should have been awake by now. Instead, he was alone, save for the distant sounds of traffic filtering through the open window. The vibrant green of their backyard felt muted under the gray sky, a reflection of the unease that had settled in his heart. Just as he was about to check on her, his phone buzzed on the counter. A message from Emily lit up the screen. "You okay? I know things have been rough lately." Thomas sighed, his heart heavy. Emily always seemed to know when he was struggling, but he had brushed her concerns aside for too long. It was easier to pretend that everything was fine.
"Do you want to talk about it?" he typed back, hesitating before hitting send. But before he could focus on the response, his mind wandered to the last few weeks. Jessica had been increasingly distant, her laughter ringing hollow, her eyes often wandering to her phone rather than meeting his gaze. He had chalked it up to stress, to the demands of life, but now doubt crept in like the rain creeping under the doorframe. After breakfast, he made a decision that felt both impulsive and necessary. Thomas grabbed his coat, the rain drumming harder now, and set out to find her. He had a nagging feeling that something was off, and he needed to know the truth. As he drove through the rain-soaked streets, the world outside blurred into streaks of gray and green. The wind whipped against his car, and the wipers struggled to keep up with the downpour. A familiar bar flickered into view, its neon sign casting a warm glow against the dreary weather. He had seen Jessica's texts about meeting a friend here, but the sense of foreboding deepened as he parked and stepped inside. The bar was dimly lit, a sanctuary for those seeking shelter from the storm. He scanned the room and felt his heart drop. There she was, Jessica, laughing, her head thrown back in delight as she leaned close to a man he had never seen before. He was charming, with a smile that seemed to light up the room. Thomas's stomach churned as he watched them share intimate moments, her laughter mingling with the sound of clinking glasses and the distant hum of conversation. "Oh my God, I can't believe this," Thomas muttered under his breath.
Anger and betrayal crashing over him like the waves of rain outside. He felt paralyzed, his heart sinking as the reality of the situation set in. This was not just a casual meeting, it was something deeper. He stepped back, trying to process what he had just witnessed. His thoughts raced. Was this why she had been so distant? Had she really found comfort in another man? Just then he spotted Ryan, his brother, slipping into the bar. What was he doing here? The jealousy in Ryan's eyes was unmistakable as he joined Jessica and the charming stranger. With his heart pounding, Thomas approached their table, his voice barely steady. "Jessica, we need to talk, now." Jessica's eyes widened, a flicker of surprise followed by a mask of guilt that washed over her face. "Thomas, don't, just don't," he interrupted, his voice rising. "I saw you, with him." He gestured towards the man, who had paused mid-laugh, confusion etched on his features. Ryan shifted uncomfortably, his gaze darting between Thomas and Jessica. "Maybe we should step outside," he suggested, attempting to defuse the situation. "No, I want to know why," Thomas snapped, his emotions flaring. "Is this what you've been doing while I thought we were working on our marriage?" Jessica took a deep breath, her facade crumbling. "I've been struggling, Thomas. He's someone I met through a book club. I thought it was just friendship, but what? You've been lying to me." His words came out sharper than he intended. The rain continued to pour outside, as if echoing his turmoil. "Please, let me explain," Jessica pleaded, her voice trembling. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I needed someone to talk to, someone who understood me. I thought I could find solace in him, but I realize now how wrong I was." The weight of her admission hung heavily in the air, and for a moment, Thomas felt a flicker of compassion. He wanted to believe her, to understand her pain, but the betrayal cut too deep. "You could have talked to me," he said, his voice softer now, but still filled with hurt. "I'm here, Jessica. I've always been here." Ryan shifted again, clearly uncomfortable with the tension. "Maybe we should all just take a breath," he offered, attempting to bridge the widening chasm between them. But Thomas was done with breathing. He turned to Ryan, anger boiling over. "And you knew, didn't you? You let this happen." The revelation of Ryan's complicity stung, and he felt betrayed on two fronts. "No, I didn't know, I swear," Ryan exclaimed, his hands raised in defense. "I'm just here for support." "Support?" Thomas scoffed, the betrayal cutting deeper. "This is a joke."
As the rain continued to pour outside, the tension in the bar rose like a storm, leaving Thomas grappling with the truth he had been ignoring for years. The woman he loved, the life they had built together, was crumbling before his eyes, and he stood there, heart heavy and mind racing, unsure of what would come next. The morning light filtered through the living room window, casting a soft glow on the walls, adorned with photos of better days. Thomas sat on the edge of the couch, his journal open but untouched, the blank pages echoing the turmoil inside him. The smell of fresh grass wafted in from the open window, a stark contrast to the heaviness that settled in his chest. He could hear the chirping of birds outside, their cheerful songs mocking the storm brewing within him. It had been a week since he moved out to stay with Ryan, and every day felt like an eternity. He had hoped that distance would provide clarity, but instead, it only amplified the confusion. Each moment spent in Ryan's small apartment reminded him of the life he had left behind, a life that had become a series of routines devoid of joy and connection. "Man, you look like you've seen a ghost," Ryan said one afternoon, throwing a slice of pizza onto the coffee table.
The pizza was cold, but it was the only thing that had been easy to agree on. Thomas forced a smile, but it felt heavy on his lips. "I'm just trying to figure things out," he replied, his voice trailing off. He picked up the journal, flipping through the pages filled with half-written thoughts and scattered reflections. "Writing helps," Ryan suggested, a hint of jealousy lacing his tone. "You should do it more." Thomas nodded absently, but the words felt stuck in his throat. He knew he had to confront the truth about Jessica, about their marriage, about himself. In the back of his mind, the memory of that fateful night when Jessica had called out another man's name lingered like a shadow, refusing to fade. As days turned into nights, he started journaling more earnestly. The cathartic release was like a floodgate opening. Each word poured out was a piece of the weight lifting from his shoulders. He wrote about the moments he had ignored, the signs he had brushed aside. The emotional distance, the late nights filled with silence, the way her laughter never reached her eyes anymore. One evening, as he scribbled furiously, a wave of realization hit him. That moment in the living room changed everything. He had let his love for Jessica blind him to the cracks in their foundation. It was as if he had been living in a fog, and now the sun was breaking through, illuminating the truth he had long denied. The next day, with a newfound strength, Thomas decided it was time to confront Jessica. He returned to their home, the familiar smell of pancakes greeting him as he stepped inside. His heart sank at the sight of her, flipping them with a practiced ease. "Jessica," he called out, his voice steady yet laced with the uncertainty of what was to come. She turned, surprise etched on her face. "Thomas, I didn't expect you back so soon." "I need to talk to you." Her expression shifted, the charm fading as she put the spatula down. "Okay, what's on your mind?" He took a deep breath, the tension palpable in the air. "I can't ignore it anymore. The distance between us, the way you called me by another man's name. It hurt, Jess. Oh my God, I can't believe this is where we are." Jessica crossed her arms, her demeanor defensive. "It was a mistake, Thomas. I was stressed. You know that." "But it's more than that." Thomas's voice rose, fueled by the pain he had bottled up for so long. "We've been drifting apart for years. You've been emotionally unavailable, and I've just accepted it." Silence hung between them, thick and suffocating. He could see the flicker of fear in her eyes, but there was also something else: resignation. "I don't know what you want me to say," she finally replied, her tone flat. "I want you to be honest, about us, about everything." He leaned forward, vulnerability spilling from his heart. "I want to know if you even want this anymore." For a moment, Jessica hesitated, her facade cracking. I care about you, but what?" Thomas pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. "But I've been scared, Thomas. Scared of commitment, scared of the future." Her confession hung in the air, a stark contrast to the warmth of the morning sun streaming through the window. Thomas felt a mix of emotions wash over him: anger, sadness, but also relief. Cultural reflection. In the living room, it hurt like strength. He had been waiting for this moment, but he hadn't expected it to be so raw, so disarming. "I can't keep pretending that this is okay," he said softly, the weight of his words pressing down like a heavy blanket. "I need to know if we can work on this together, or if it's time to let go." Jessica's gaze fell to the floor, the charm that once captivated him now replaced with a look of uncertainty. "I wish I had the answer," she whispered. Thomas felt a knot tighten in his stomach. The truth was out, but the resolution remained elusive. In that moment, he understood. Sometimes, facing the truth meant embracing the unknown, no matter how painful it might be. The rain had just begun to fall, the smell of wet pavement wafting through the open back door as Thomas paced in the backyard. He could hear the gentle chime of the wind chimes that hung from the porch, their soft music a cruel contrast to the storm brewing inside him. He took a deep breath, the fresh scent of rain mingling with the earthy aroma of wet grass, grounding him in the moment. He had come here to confront Jessica, to demand answers, yet the dread of what he might hear gnawed at his insides. "Jessica," he called out, his voice firm but trembling, "we need to talk, now." The sound of her footsteps approached, and he turned to see her standing at the threshold, framed by the soft glow of the kitchen light. There was a flicker of surprise in her eyes, quickly masked by her usual charm. "What's this about, Thomas?" she asked, her tone light but with an edge of caution. "Don't play games with me." His heart sank as he felt the weight of betrayal press against his chest. "You know exactly why I'm here." He stepped closer, rain beginning to patter more insistently around them. "I heard you. About Ryan." Jessica shifted, her expression faltering for the briefest moment. "Oh my God, Thomas, can't we just what?" he interrupted, frustration spilling over. "Can't we just pretend everything is fine while you call out another man's name in your sleep? I can't believe this." Her eyes widened, and for a moment he thought he saw something genuine flicker behind the facade. "It's not what you think," she started, but her voice lacked conviction. "No?" He shook his head. "Then tell me what it is. Because my heart sank when I heard you say it, Jess. I need to know." A heavy silence fell between them, broken only by the rhythmic drumming of the rain. Jessica looked down, her shoulders slumping. "I didn't mean to." "Didn't mean to what?" he pressed, the frustration boiling over. "You didn't mean to let me know how you really feel? How long has this been going on?" She hesitated, the vulnerability of the moment hanging in the air. "I felt invisible, Thomas, like you don't even see me anymore. I was trying to reach out, to get your attention, and then Ryan, it just happened." "Just happened?" he echoed, disbelief etching lines on his face. "You think that makes it better? That you could turn to him because you felt neglected?" "I know," she said softly, the bravado crumbling. "I messed up. I thought I could fix things on my own, but instead, I just pushed you away." His chest tightened, a mix of anger and sadness washing over him. "So what do we do now? You've broken something that can't just be fixed with an apology." Jessica's eyes filled with tears, and the vulnerability he had longed to see in her was finally there. "I don't want to lose you, Thomas. I love you. I didn't know how to say it." A bitter laugh escaped him. "Love isn't enough if you're going to keep running away. You've got to own up to what you've done." In that moment, he realized it wasn't just about her betrayal. It was about the years he had spent overlooking the cracks in their relationship, believing everything would simply work itself out. "I can't keep pretending everything is fine. I deserve honesty. I deserve more than just half-hearted affection," he said, his voice steadier now, but the pain was still evident.
Jessica took a step forward, desperation etched on her face. "I'll do anything to prove to you that I can change. I just need a chance. Please." He searched her eyes, looking for something solid, something real. "Do you really mean that?" "Yes," she whispered, the sincerity piercing through the tension. "I need to show you that I can be the wife you deserve." "But can I trust you?" he asked. The gravity of their situation settling heavily around them. She nodded, her tears spilling over. "I'll fight for us, Thomas, I swear." Just as he opened his mouth to respond, a flash of realization struck him. The weight of the moment shifted. "What if you're not the only one with secrets?" he murmured, his brow furrowing. Jessica looked confused. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, the implications swirling in his mind. What if Ryan isn't just jealous of our stability? What if he wanted something more? Her expression hardened, and he could see the gears turning in her mind. "You think he—" "I don't know," he interrupted, "but there's something off about him. I can feel it." "Thomas, no," she began, but he held up a hand. "I need to figure this out, Jess. We both do. This isn't just about us anymore." The rain continued to pour, washing away the facade they had both clung to for so long. As they stood there in the backyard, the weight of unspoken truths hung heavily in the air, leaving them both uncertain about what the future would hold. But one thing was clear: this confrontation had only just begun. "Enough!" Thomas shouted, her voice echoing. "Please, let me speak," Jessica pleaded. "There's nothing left to say," Thomas finalized. The kitchen was dimly lit, the morning sun filtering through the half-drawn curtains, casting soft shadows on the tiled floor. Thomas stood by the stove, the faint scent of apple pie wafting through the air, a comforting reminder of simpler times. He stirred the remnants of last night's sauce, lost in thought, when a sudden downpour began, the rhythmic patter of rain on the pavement outside echoing his tumultuous feelings. As he watched the raindrops race each other down the window, he felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps a new beginning awaited him. He had moved in with Ryan, and while the transition was jarring, it gave him the space to breathe. One day, as he rummaged through a box of old paintings he had abandoned, he found a canvas that sparked something deep within him. It was a landscape, vibrant and full of life, yet unfinished. He picked up his brushes, the scent of paint mingling with the rain-soaked air, and began to fill in the gaps. Each stroke was cathartic, a release of emotions he had bottled up for too long. Later that week, Emily called, her voice as soothing as a summer breeze. "You know, Thomas, you really should reach out to Maria. It's been a while since you two had a heart-to-heart." "Yeah, I guess," Thomas replied, the thought of facing his past stirring a mix of dread and anticipation in his chest. "I just don't know what to say. It's been so complicated." "You both shared good times, and acknowledging that might be healing, don't you think?" she encouraged. With a deep breath, he decided to take the plunge. He texted Maria, suggesting they meet at a cozy cafe downtown. The day of their meeting, he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. As he entered the cafe, the smell of freshly brewed coffee enveloped him, mingling with the sweet scent of pastries, creating a warm embrace that eased his nerves. When Maria arrived, they exchanged tentative smiles. "It's been a while, hasn't it?" she said, her eyes reflecting a mixture of nostalgia and uncertainty. "Yeah," Thomas replied, his heart pounding. "I've missed our talks." They settled into a corner table, and after a few moments of silence, he spoke up. "I've been doing a lot of thinking, about us, about everything." Maria nodded, her expression serious. "I have too. I've realized that we both learned a lot from our relationship, even if it didn't end the way we wanted." He felt a rush of emotions, memories flooding back, laughter, shared dreams, and the bittersweet moments that had led them here. "I just wish I had seen the signs sooner," he admitted, the weight of his past mistakes heavy on his shoulders. Maria smiled softly. "You're not alone in that. We both had our blind spots. But I'm grateful for the good times we had. They shaped me, and I hope they shaped you too." Thomas nodded, his heart sinking at the thought of what could have been. "I can't believe how much time we lost," he murmured. As they parted ways, the rain began to fall again, but this time it felt refreshing, cleansing. Thomas walked home, his mind buzzing with possibilities. The world felt lighter, filled with the sweet songs of birds chirping in the distance, celebrating the end of a storm. In the weeks that followed, he dove deeper into his architecture career, finding joy in the designs he once cherished. He started painting again, each piece a reflection of his renewed spirit. The smell of paint became his new therapy, a way to channel his emotions into something beautiful. One evening, as he sat on the porch with a glass of lemonade, he glanced over at Ryan, who was flipping through a magazine. "You know," Thomas said, breaking the comfortable silence, "I feel like I'm finally starting to live for myself." Ryan looked up, a hint of surprise crossing his face. "Really? I mean, it's about time, man. You were always so focused on making things work with Jessica that you lost sight of who you are." "Yeah," Thomas replied, a thoughtful smile spreading across his face. "I realized that sometimes letting go is the only way to move forward." In that moment, he understood that the heartache and confusion had brought him to a place of clarity. He was free to explore, to rediscover passions he had long forgotten. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. "When my wife called me by another man's name, I realized the truth I ignored for years," he whispered to himself, finally embracing the lessons learned from his past. "And you, on your porch, what truths have you ignored in the pursuit of love?" Thomas smiled for the first time in days. "Everything will be okay." Jessica nodded. "You're stronger than you know."